Hey, what's up, everybody? Been a while since I've been here, but better late than never, if that's the thing. I don't know. I'm back. Yeah, I just got back from Mount Shasta like a few days ago. I was there for a week. I felt compelled to go there, and while I was there, I was staying at an Airbnb with this other kind of a spiritual person. A lot of spiritual people in Mount Shasta, though they don't all necessarily communicate with each other. And we were having this discussion about just sovereignty and like um, how to be sovereign. Like, what does it mean to be sovereign? And I thought it might be a good topic for a video. So here I am. I mean, there's so many ways you can explain it. I'm not going to like get the definition out. But one of the things that came up was like, she was saying, I just wish government would change, or the government is corrupt, and I wish somebody would just step in there and do something. And I thought to myself, I'm like, well, you know, being sovereign means that we need to take the power back ourselves, and we need to be the change that we want to see in the world. So if you see some corruption or something going on and there's something you can do, you might have to be that person that does that. If you need to run for office, maybe that's a thing. Now, I don't know. I think the government is not going to be around that much longer. I'm not saying like it's going to be gone tomorrow, but maybe like over the next decade or so, we just might not have much of a government left. I don't know. A lot of people aren't going to like that. Like what I had that I said that. They're probably not going to believe it. Um, I'm not even. I'm not even saying I guarantee it. Like I do see the government kind of going away, but not. I don't know if it goes away entirely or not. And I know that sounds scary, but for the spiritual people, we're moving into the age of Aquarius, which is it's all about sovereignty and like the individual um, self-governing. So it makes sense to me. If you're into astrology and you believe that kind of stuff, that's what we're moving into. That's not where I'm getting my information from, but I mean, I'm just kind of putting all the pieces together. So, I think we need to start living in alignment with nature and the earth. Um, I don't know for how long now, the last few hundred years, or it could be longer, it could be like 10,000 years or something. We've just been kind of doing our own thing, doing whatever we wanted to do, and not living in harmony with nature. Just cutting down trees on a whim without asking if that's the best way. In fact, I think the way that we build houses with trees and stuff are probably not the best way um, of of building a house, to construct a house. They don't last long. They're in constant need of repair. Um, I think maybe metal or even stone or something. That there's different ways. I think there's more efficient ways to build houses than cutting down trees. And I'm not saying you should never cut down a tree, but I think there's a time and a place, and I think that's been kind of out of our control. I think that's been done on purpose. We're cutting down trees because the trees are sentient, they are alive, and they would communicate to us and help us. But since we're cutting them down, it's kind of like putting a divide between us and the trees. And so, it's actually a very clever way of screwing ourselves, and then we don't even know the fact that we're doing it. We just keep cutting down trees, and that tree's not alive, doesn't know anything. It's not helping me in any way, besides maybe providing me shade, which I don't need at this moment. So we can just cut it down and sell it for profit. Back to becoming sovereign, I guess. So aligning more with nature. Um, even the way we do our plumbing and the way that we treat our water. There's been documentaries, I think, on water, that have been done where there's just so many twists and turns in a pipe to get water to your house, that by the time the water gets to your house, it's not really very good for you. Personally, actually, I put my water in a copper vessel, which charges the water in a way. At the very least, um, it lets the water settle. You should leave it in the copper vessel for 4 hours before you drink it, just to make sure, I think, that the energy is kind of cleared. If there was any, I don't know, dissonant energy within the water, if you got it from your tap or whatever. And even beyond that, for me, I use a water distiller to really distill my water. I don't want all the junk that they put in the tap water. And then, of course, plastic bottled waters. I mean, yeah, that's all we need is more plastic going into the ocean, or whatever they do with it. They don't dispose of it. Like, it's not anything that necessarily can be destroyed. Although I think they're coming up with new scientific methods of disposing of the plastic. I think returning it back to kind of a petroleum base. But still, it's, we've got plastics in our water, microplastics in our water, and our soil, and so many things. It's, plastic is definitely not one of the things we need more of. So just being more eco-friendly, I guess, for the something more sustainable, I think is maybe the right word for that. So yeah, I mean, I feel like I might have talked about this in another video, so I don't want to maybe dwell on it too much. But becoming sovereign is also just being self-reliant, not having to rely on the government or grocery stores or department stores, any kind of store. Like, there's mainly two things you need to survive: water and food and shelter. Three things. If you've got an unlimited source of water, and you've got an unlimited source of food, and you've got extremely durable shelter, you don't really need much else. You can survive for quite a long time, I think, just off of that. I would define that as like sovereign, because you have all the power. There's nothing that can shake you unless one of those things is taken away. Now, I mean, to live in this modern society today, typically we need more than that. We need gas to power our cars. If we need a car, if we need to go somewhere, I guess if you're in the middle of the country and maybe you do your own farming and stuff, maybe there's not any places you need to go, or maybe you got horses that can take you somewhere or something. But maybe if you do live on a farm, if you've got any farm equipment that run off of gas or diesel, or maybe you need to buy fertilizer. I don't know. You shouldn't need fertilizer either. If you're doing regenerative farming, I think, and you have animals that are pooping on your farm, that's great fertilizer for your farm. And I think that the fertilizer that they sell, I think, is made from petroleum and other stuff. It's just it's not good. So bad example there, but I think what I'm trying to say is just that, if you don't have to go to too many places, You're in the middle of nowhere. Maybe things that you do need, you could barter with your neighbors for things like, hey, I got some vegetables, you want to trade for some seeds, or you got extra water, I'll trade you some of my food for some of your water, whatever. You can make things work. And so I think that, it's going to be really hard for most people, right? If you're in New York City, it's like not even a thing that you'd be able to do. So I think a lot of people are going to be leaving the cities over the next decade, and becoming as sovereign as possible, becoming the ruler of their own domain, learning how to grow food, how to um, gather water. Maybe there's a well on the property or whatever. Um, even as far as going to, I've got a few books on just walking through a forest and like finding food that's edible. I mean, that's probably more on the extreme side, but you never know if that might become valuable. There's a lot of people that have had floods where their entire home is flooded and everything they lost everything. What are you going to do then? It would be helpful if you knew how to forage for food in a forest. Like, obviously you need to get out of the flooded area first, but while everyone else is standing around and waiting for someone to bring them food, you can be out foraging, looking for food. Okay, this is edible. That's not. This is edible. And you just start eating stuff, and nature provides. And that could be the thing that gets you through some of these events. Because if you got 100,000 or 1,000,000 people that had just got flooded and you're waiting for someone to bring you food, it could be a while before somebody comes to the rescue. So these are good things to know, especially with all the weather events that we've been having lately. They just seem catastrophic. Flooding is the big thing, and I thankfully I'm not in an area where I have that issue, but yeah, flooding seems to be a big issue right now, and I think it might get worse over the next couple years. What else? So yeah, being able to forage for food, maybe even being able to create your own shelter, live in the woods, or something. Again, if you get flooded and you lose your home, you got nothing. So where do you go from there? It's not like somebody's going to just come out and give you a house, usually. There wouldn't be so many homeless people across the United States, across the world. So yeah, it's just the more you know about being self-sufficient, the further it's going to get you, with the times that we're going into. And so that's part of being sovereign. But also, if you just see something and you hear yourself saying, I wish somebody would do something about that, think back to your go within yourself and maybe prioritize whether that person should be you to do it or not, or if there's a different way of doing it that maybe doesn't need this hierarchical structure of government and other things to have this done. I'm being very vague because it could cover so many areas. It's not just government or politics or anything. I mean, there's so much infrastructure that's going to be changing over the next couple of years that yeah, we really need to get out of that victim mentality of, I can't believe they did that to us, or God, those weather events came out of nowhere and I wasn't prepared. Well, we choose what we put our time and effort and into, and what's going to be the best for us in our life to get us through things, or to um, keep us moving. So, it's never too late to learn skills. I'm a lifelong learner personally. I'll never stop learning, whether it's about myself or how the world works, or maybe how I can better myself, or um, yeah. I mean, there's just so much to know. I'll never stop learning, but I know a lot of people do. My wife is one of those people. Not to say that she's done learning now, hopefully not. Now that kind of we talked and stuff, but she worked this 9 to 5 job where she went for 10 years, and I don't know, didn't go to school, didn't read a book, didn't even go on YouTube or anything. Because sometimes people call YouTube University, because you could just learn how to do so many things on YouTube itself. And yeah, I think more recently she's been going on YouTube and learning things. We went shopping for a car recently, and so she's learning, oh, how do you deal with the salesman? How do you inspect a car? How do you test drive a car? All these different things. I'm not so much interested in that. I know it's part of this 3D reality where we need to be um, shopping for cars, but I personally, I just don't want to waste my time on that. Let me just go in, find the car. Yeah, I'll expect it, take it for a test drive and everything. But if everything pans out, then I'll just buy the car. She's the type of person where she wants to do very in-depth research. She wants to see hundreds of vehicles, or before she buys the one that she finally buys. And just not like that. But good for her that she's just taking initiative and stepping up, and stepping into her power, and really knowing what she wants, how she's going to do it, and then implementing those steps to get to that direction that she wants to go. So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like I might just be rambling here at the end. Hopefully I tied this together and it sounded good. It's been a while since I did a video. None of these are ever like scripted. Just kind of have an idea of what I want to talk about maybe before I come on. And sometimes I talk about other things as well. So anyways, I hope you liked what I had to say. It's been a while. Yeah, like before, if you like my content, please subscribe, like the video. I guess if you want to leave in the comments any feedback on the video, or if you have anything I'd like to talk about that you'd like to hear me talk about, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Take care.